Hey, this is Marsha B of Introvert in the City, and this is Just Another Podcast.
Woo! That was sexy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good evening. Tonight, I have a special guest. You've probably, if you followed her on Instagram or any other social media, Marsha B of Introvert in the City, at Introvert in the City.
Yes.
An awesome person. Met her through my wife years ago, and whether in person or from afar, it's a person who's always giving off beautiful energy, great vibes through her IG posts, also informative. Especially like recently, I saw like the one about the woman giving birth and stuff like that. That was dope. It's you're always doing these awesome things, and I admire you for that. That even like, you have a propensity to like, you don't seem to like deal with negative. Like you're just like, you know what, cut it, I'm out of it. It is what it is, and you have no tolerance for it, which is dope. Something I've taken to recently. So how are you doing today, Marsha?
I am doing well. I can't complain at all. I mean, good, but
That's
I'm
dope.
doing well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Marsha, tell us a little bit about yourself.
About me. Okay, so I am a writer. By day, I'm an editor for Hello Beautiful, which is a lifestyle sort of beauty fashion online publication. And so I do that by day. And then outside of that, I'm the owner of Introvert in the City. And so you spoke a little bit about my brand and like the purpose, which is mainly about manifesting the life you want to live. And that is through your thought process, right? So that's why everything that I post has a heavy influence on being positive and positive self-talk and just being gentle with yourself and giving yourself grace. Not negating the negativity because, you can't have positive without negative, but just learning how to transmute that, those negative thoughts into positive so that it's productive to your life. So that is pretty much my brand in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. We got to get you a logo too. Need a logo.
Yeah, I have one. And then when I rebranded last year, I sort of just threw together something that went with the colors of my brand.
Right.
But I've never made anything official.
No,
I have to.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you.
So, Marsha, Introvert in the City. How did you come up with that?
So I first started as Marsh Bar's Closets, right?
Yes.
So I started as a fashion blogger. And so the purpose of my brand back then was just to show off my clothes because people loved the way that I dressed. And it was always like, where'd you get this? Where'd you get that? And this was like in the wakes of fashion blogging. So I didn't really know that this was something that people were doing and that there was already a formula to it. I was already a fashion writer. And so it just sort of made sense. So I built a following based off of just what I like to wear and people like wanting to know how to shop for stuff the way that I shop. After working in the fashion industry for some time, I realized that this was not a place for me. I felt like, as an introvert, it was difficult for me to go to like all of these major events. And like, I've been to the BET Awards, I've been to album release parties.
Without me?
Listen, I would have loved to have brought you. You would have made my life easier. You know what I'm saying? It was just difficult for me to be in the room with all those people. I didn't know how to network. I didn't want to talk to anybody, and people weren't as friendly. So it wasn't like the type of community where someone would see you and come over to you and say, "Hey, how you doing?" You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I decided to sort of shy away from Marsha's closet. I sort of put the axe on it, decided I didn't want to do anything with fashion anymore because like I like to be around nice people and they weren't nice. And so that's where Introvert in the City came about. I wanted to put the spotlight on quirky Black women who felt like they didn't fit in and sort of create a space for them. So I am an introvert. And so it resonated. And I was able to build like such a strong following from that because there are a lot of quirky Black awkward women around the world who felt the same way that I did. And it's sort of from there has morphed into just what it is now, which is an empowerment brand that highlights and uplifts Black women, and just really like a heavy emphasis on how to create your life, how to just take a blank canvas and really create what you want your life to become.
Right. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Yeah, I always like scroll through like when I go through my feeds or whatever, and a lot of it, I'm not gonna lie, it's sports, especially on my JustHek page because I subscribe to like a lot of different basketball stuff and football stuff, and then it'll be like basketball, Introvert in the City, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? It's always I appreciate that. Those types of posts from women like you or just people in general, because it's just, we went through such a weird year.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people struggled to maintain their positivity through that. And, I mean, certain people chose a side, politically, religiously, personally, whatever the case may be. But you were consistent. You were always just like, hey, these are my cards about self-fulfillment, or these are, hey, I'm outside with my mask on, looking pretty, and they can't see my smile, or or you were on your fire escape, or like you were just always, it was consistent and it was dope.
I definitely had my moments where I struggled, and I made sure to highlight that too. Like, I'm going crazy in this house, I'm single, I'm quarantining alone, I work from home. Like my human contact is, the mailman or FedEx, or
Amazon.
If I exactly, if I happen to go to the supermarket, like that is an event, so I put a very heavy push on like giving yourself grace, because there's no perfect way of handling a pandemic. You know what I'm saying? We never expected this. So
definitely
it gets hard, and honor that it gets hard, honor that it gets lonely. And then, you feel it, you process it, and you keep going. Like, this won't be forever.
Definitely. Delve into, if you would please, delve into your 2020 a little bit more. So, I mean, I know obviously by yourself and
yeah. 2020 was a life changer. Everyone says 2020 was like their worst year, and that was my glow up year. Like, the person you see now is not the person in 29. Like, the picture I posted today is not something I would have posted 3 months ago, or in 2019.
Right.
So like, 2020 is really responsible for my glow up. I was dating someone from about January to August. And that wasn't the best relationship or situation for me to be in.
Okay.
But it was through that I started to say, okay, Marsha, what are you going to do about Introvert in the City? Because at the top of the year, I had said, I'm done. I just want to get married and have kids. Like, that's where my was. I was like, I'm going to work this regular job. I'm going to find me a wife. We're going to have kids together. And that's going to be my life. And that was my mindset January 1st, 2020. Mm-hmm. By about March, I started to feel just really, and this was before things had fully shut down. I started to feel like really unfulfilled and unhappy in my job, and I couldn't figure out why. And so I did a lot of spiritual work. I had a couple of Reiki sessions. Reiki is energy healing.
I totally know what Reiki is. I learned about that in high school. I worked at a comprehensive care center. I interned at a comprehensive care center within Beth Israel, and I've like witnessed it. I felt it. I can curse because this is like adult. That shit was real. Yeah, you feel it.
Powerful.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Very powerful. Yeah. I actually just got certified in as a Reiki practitioner.
Really?
In October. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's going to eventually be part of what I do.
Okay, awesome.
But I was doing like intense energy healing, just trying to figure out what was the source of like this weird, icky discomfort that I was feeling. And it was that I needed to revamp and relaunch my brand. And so I started to work on that. I started to like figure out how I'm going to do this. And so I started a podcast, and that's when I rebranded. And because I was working on my solar plexus chakra, that's where the yellow in my brand comes from. Okay. And then green is my favorite color. It's like, I'll show you all my plants.
That's beautiful. I love plants.
Yes.
I make it my business to buy my wife flowers like at least once a week, because you need that.
I love it.
It brings an aura, you know.
Yeah.
And you know where I got that from, of all places? A rapper.
Yes.
T.I. I know. Listen, I know he's a little messy right now, but to say the least. But he had said, you know, like he had gave like a tour of his house, and he had plants everywhere. And someone mentioned that, and he was like, you know, I learned early on that they bring a certain energy to your household.
They do,
and it's living energy. And I was like, this is coming from T.I. Like I was like. I was shocked. I was stuck for like 5 minutes because I'm like, he was true. It was true.
Yeah, you know. It does.
And you have a beautiful setup.
Thank you. Well, and that's where the green comes from for my my brand. I love, it's my favorite color. And so I tied the two together. So that's how the brand relaunch came about. And then one day I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw this affirmation deck, and I ordered it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then something said, you could do this. And I was like, all right. So I made my own affirmation deck. And then I set the goal of coming out, like I want to come out with 4 total. So I have my first one, which is the Mindful Moon deck. Right. And then I have Love Notes. That's my second one that just came out in January. And then I want to do a children's deck and a deck for mothers, you know, for Mother's Day. So, awesome. Yeah, so all of that happened. And then, you know, the relationship that I was in ended, and I was devastated. And to say the least, I was with this person for 8 months. My last relationship was 7 years, and that ended in 2018. And I was more distraught over this 8 months than I was over the 7-year relationship. Like, it took a toll on me.
Wow.
And so it was through my healing process of really recognizing what I'm worth, what I deserve, what I no longer going to stand for, who I am as a person, what makes me valuable, what makes me amazing, what makes me lovable. I had to learn all of that because you sort of think you know,
right.
And then you're like, oh shit, I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Totally.
I've been allowing people to treat me like shit for a while. I've been putting myself fourth and fifth on the list for years. And like, I just never realized that until I went through that. Right. So, that's when the glow up happened. That's when I was like, oh, bitch, you are amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. And I started showing up for myself. I lost 30 pounds. I started really taking care of me and showing up for me. And here I am today.
That's awesome. So, you know, sometimes it takes adversity to really show your mettle, to show like who you are and what you can overcome. You know, heartbreak sucks. Okay. Whoever God came up with that chemical in the brain, it was just, hey, listen, that's a doozy, man. It's like it's a feeling that you still remember it. And you know, people that tend to overcome it, they use that memory to say, you know what, I need to choose myself so I don't ever have to feel that again. Because it's soul draining. It really is.
It is.
Totally is. And I appreciate you sharing
so
that.
much.
Oh,
no problem. Yeah. I learned so much about myself though. And so even as horrible as it was, healing is not pretty, but it's beautiful in the end when you can look at like the end result. Definitely. And I'm not even at the end result, but whatever it is now, like I look back and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. That's what those pictures were. And I was like, this is what you're missing.
Right.
Now I understand. Because I was like, usually it was just like, and by the way, I'm going to purchase at least one deck of those cards for my wife because she's into like vision boards and stuff like that. So I definitely am going to purchase one of those cards from you. Do you have a shop online or do you have a shop on your Instagram?
It's online and on my Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely going to do that. I've been meaning to do it for a while. Life. You know, it's funny that you say that 2020 was your glow up year because I tend to go through survivor's guilt almost with my 2020. But I feel like for the country, we needed 2020. We needed this moment.
We totally did. And the thing is with perspective is that that's what it's all about. It's all about perspective. And if you choose to adapt the idea that things will get better, they will. It's all about perspective. So
that's true.
When people ask me, I'm like, it was my motherfucking year, and so it's next year, and the year after that, and so on and so forth.
Oh man, that's awesome! I need to start doing that. I play it low key.
Yes,
I play it low key.
Speak about it. It's, you know what? I understand. I respect that other people didn't have the best year. I understand people lost their jobs, people lost their homes. And I would never discredit or discount any of that. And I'm sure hearing perspective is what will change things. I'm sure that's the last person who lost their job and ended up like sleeping on a couch or, you know, having COVID and, you know, being really sick. That's the last thing they want to hear, you know? So I get that. But also remember, like, if you had a good 2020, you don't shield that for someone else. That's your truth.
Very, very dope.
It belongs to you.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, that word perspective has carried me in really tough situations. So, you know, I tell that to people, they kind of roll their eyes at me a little bit, but I'd be like, listen, Trust me when I tell you, perspective carried me through tough moments
Right.
in my life. And, you could either have it or you don't. And I tend to notice that when you don't have it, you take on the notion that, oh man, like either life owes you something, or you're just like, oh man, like you're just stuck in this wallowing pool of where you're just like mired in your own misery. And
exactly. And that's the thing. It's never about not feeling it or just masking it with like this fake positivity. No, when bad shit happens, acknowledge that bad shit is happening, feel how you feel, but then what? Okay, because you can't stay there. You can't sit there in your shit and throw it at yourself. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to get up and clean yourself up and see how you can move forward. And that's the perspective that I'm talking about. It's like, okay, well, now what am I going to do? How am I going to make this work?
Right.
Because what's the alternative?
It's true. It's true. This is so awesome right now. I love loving this conversation. So back for a minute. I want to go back. All right.
Okay.
So Marsha, what was it like growing up? Marsha, like what was that like? What was your upbringing like?
My upbringing. My parents are two cancers. Two cancers, and they divorced by the time I was two years old. And so I was raised by my mom, who is West Indian. She's from Guyana.
Awesome.
Love my culture. That's how I grew up. So when people ask me where I'm from, I say I'm Guyanese, even though I was born here.
Right.
Because that's all I know, really. Raised in a hyper-religious home. So hyper-religious in that it was forced on me to go to church every Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. When I went to public school, my school skirts were down to my knees when everyone, not my knees, my ankles, sorry.
Wow.
While everyone, yes, I have photographic evidence of this. Down to my ankles while everyone else was down to their knees. And so that was the upbringing that I had, and just raised more so in a way to like fear my mom, opposed to like, just respecting her. Right.
Right.
And so, I was just very meek, very quiet, very to myself, studied, never did anything wrong. I was like the picture perfect kid, got bullied in school, like your typical high school geek, pretty much.
Okay.
Got good grades, was in gifted programs, all that stuff. Did everything to make mom happy. Didn't do anything bad. Realized maybe around 19. No, I realized at 15, 16, that was gay. And then like that, realizing that, and also acknowledging my upbringing, I was like so in denial and just like, oh my God, I'm going to hell.
Wow.
I came to terms with that really quickly though. I was like, no, I'm not going to hell. I'm a good person. I'm not, there's no way in hell I'm going to hell.
Right.
So, I had time to reconcile those feelings. Like as I came out officially when I was 19. My mom was not happy. She hated it. We didn't talk for a long time. We lived in the same house. We did not talk. She would give me like stupid rules, like no gay people in the house. No gay people can call the phone. I'm like, Mom, how will you know? How will you know? Whatever, so I went through that, moved out when I was 23. And I just always had a very strong sense of this is who I am, and very unapologetic about it. And that's just carried me through life. Just being unapologetically me. I cannot be anyone else other than Marsha. And so that's who I'm going to be. And that has been my saving grace throughout life. It's just really acknowledging and standing in my power and standing in my truth. But I recognized from a very young age that I was an introvert. I was like this socially awkward kid that had a hard time making friends. It was just, I was actually just talking to somebody about that. It was kind of torture. Like now that I look back, I always thought something was wrong with me. Like, I had to go to summer school one year and I made no friends. Like would go to class, do the work, come back home.
Right.
And that was me all the time.
Okay.
Even when I used to hang out with Josie and all of them, it was always like they would go out and they'd like to party and I'd be sitting down watching. I would have to have drinks in order to loosen up, to really like participate with them. And, I wasn't the drinker. I was always the one like, okay, time for me to go home. And I would go home early. Like that was just my thing because, that's just who I am. And so I learned at a very young age to like, this is who you are and this is what people are going to get. And so that's it.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you quickly came to the resolution that you were not going to burn in hell for being gay. I mean, so you've gotten 2020 behind you. You're blazing 2021 right now.
And it's only February.
That's right. What do you have in store for 2021 and future?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea. I am learning that you can have a plan. It's good to have a very loose blueprint, but the universe is going to take you where the universe wants to take you. And all you really have to do is say, take me. I will lead. I will go. And so that's what I'm saying. I didn't expect my brand to turn into what it has turned into. When I decided to relaunch last year, what it is now is not what I thought it was going to be. And so I'm sort of following that same vibe. I have no idea. I can't tell you past this weekend what's going to happen.
Okay.
I do know that I definitely want to market my other decks. And I figure I was trying to be really ambitious by having the Mother's Day deck out by like April-ish. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that might be too ambitious for me right now. But definitely before the end of the year, I would like to have both decks out. So I'll have a total of 4. I'd like to expand on my online store. I would like to do more speaking engagements. I would like to, I told you I got certified as a Reiki practitioner. I would like to start, practicing. I would also, I'm very into like astrology and tarot cards and, moon energy and things of that nature. So I would like to sort of expand more on that stuff. I'm open. I'm open to whatever the universe has for me right now.
So what is your astrology knowledge on Geminis?
Oh, I know a lot about Geminis. My ex of 7 years is a Gemini. And listen, I hated Geminis up until I met her. I really did.
Why? Why?
Because the Geminis that I had come across were very know-it-all, very headstrong, will argue you down. And there's nothing wrong with being firm in what you think, but there's also like beauty in recognizing that you don't know everything, and just also honoring other people's place or opinion in life. But I met my ex, and it probably one of the most mature, beautiful relationships I've ever had. She's an amazing woman. 7 years, and she changed my mind about Geminis. They are now like one of my favorite signs. Her and I are very good friends. to this day. She has a whole new life. She has a girlfriend. She literally has a whole new life. But there's such a great respect there between the two of us. And yeah, she helped change my mind about you guys. But you guys are really like the most hated sign. You really are. It's crazy. You guys are, and then my sign, Scorpios, and then Leos. Yeah. Well, I would say when we're devoted and when we're in it and when we love you, that's it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
It.
It's who you're meant for is who you're gonna give the energy to. But if you're not meant for that person, it's just like, hey, I'm here. I might just be a blip. You know what I mean? And
right.
Just
I'm a hard shell to crack. But to penetrate, to get to me, like emotionally, like for me to let that wall down, God bless the person. God bless but I firmly believe that the universe is obviously going to send me a person who's capable of breaking that wall. So
definitely. Me being older now, there are times where people will say things to me and I'll just look at them like 20 things have gone through my head on what I could say to them. And I just choose to say the most safest thing at that time. It was like, you know what?
Okay.
Yeah. Because if I say 1 through 19, we're either gonna have an argument, you're gonna feel really horrible. I'm gonna feel horrible for saying that to you at the moment. Yeah. So I just choose them like, you know what? A lot of my safe word is you're right. I'm gonna go. That's my safe word.
Yeah. I'm gonna blow your whole entire mind right now. So with astrology, right? First of all, everyone focuses on the sun sign, but there's also your moon and your rising, right? So if you look at your whole astrological chart, it details every part of your personality, right? Every single part. So there's, your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, your Venus, your, all over your Saturn, and you're in different houses. And it's like so crazy. So there's an astrologist that I speak to often. And he can literally walk me through what's going to happen for the month, like what's potentially going to happen based off of astrology. This is not a psychic. This is based off the stars, based off of my birth chart. So one time I spoke with him and he said, okay, according to this, that, and the third, when you were younger, you used to have nosebleeds. Yes, I did. According to this, that, and the third, these are your personality traits. You tend to pick people that you see their potential instead of seeing exactly who they are. And you like, that's because my Venus is in Virgo. It's crazy. So it can literally spell out who you are. And I believe that in terms of like the world, I believe like the government knows and uses really well-known astrologists, really skilled astrologists to plan like releases, like when is the time for us to launch this based off of like different astrological, these type of people are more inclined to shop. You literally that's why there's such a difference in people. In terms of like, there's certain people who are more inclined to like date for money. And then there's certain people who find that offensive and like, no, I want to work for mine. And, all of that is in the stars, literally.
Wow.
Blows my mind. It is going to be something that I study because I'm so blown away by astrology and just how complex and intense it is. Wow. It's crazy. So yeah, you can definitely look at the sun sign, but if you want to look at more of how you love and how you are in relationships, that's your Venus. If you want to look at how people perceive you, that's your rising. If you want to look at how you probably really see yourself, that's your moon. If you want to look at how you are in terms of work, it's so different. So my moon is in Capricorn. And so work-wise, and it makes sense. It makes sense that my moon would be in Capricorn because someone who has a moon in Capricorn is about service. They're about giving back. They feel useless if they're not giving back. That's my entire brand is about instilling in other people how to become the best version of themselves. Right. And so it's just, I can go on and on. It's amazing. I love it.
And how do you gauge like what's your exact, because is it based on your actual birth date? Or is it based
so your birth date, birth time, and birth location.
Wow.
So yes, these are very, like, you need all three. You need your birthday.
Right.
You need the exact time and the exact city state. And so this is also helpful in figuring out who your soulmate is. So like my astrologer, he says, Marsha, when you meet that person, girl, you get all that information and you text it to me and I will tell you if they're worth pursuing. And so legit, it's like my second question. When I feel interested in somebody, I'm like, so when's your birthday? Do you know the time? And where was it? You know, I try to get all that information. And
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's dope, though.
But definitely look it up. I'm gonna DM you that information. Look it up and then read your entire chart. You will feel like seen.
I'm definitely gonna do that. I'm doing that like right after this interview. Like seriously, I'm definitely gonna do that because I'm curious. I want to know like how is it like a website I could go to, or are you gonna?
You can go to a website. I'm gonna send you a website, and I'm gonna send you an app called The Pattern.
Awesome, definitely.
The Pattern is amazing. It does the same thing. It'll ask you the same questions, same information, and then it will generate you like your entire your work life, your personal life, how people see you. And then you can get your wife's information, plug that in, and it'll tell you like the conflicts that you'll have. It'll explain why you have bumpy parts in your relationship. It'll say because she feels like you're not doing this and you feel like you're doing this and she's not hearing that because this is part of her. It's crazy. I literally won't date someone if the Pattern says no. I'm just like, no, I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Okay. No, I'm definitely gonna install that app because I'm curious about that now. I want to know.
Send it to you.
And if it hits it right in the button, I'm never gonna talk to you again. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, I know you heard like that elevated excitement in my voice when we spoke about this.
No, definitely.
It's the truth.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down. Listen, it's the fluid Gemini in me. Listen, you know what? Okay, sure. Let's see what
I'm
this is.
expecting a DM tomorrow. Like, girl, you was right. All right.
Definitely. So, I mean, this is the part where, you know, I've already told you this, but I really do appreciate you as a person. We've only hung out like 3 times, really, 3 or 4 times. But your energy was always dope. But when I saw the Introvert in the city, I was like, I remember the one time that we was in this spot in LES, La Línea, which is like, and you were like dancing up a storm, and I'm like, Introvert, like I don't.
That's probably dry. That's probably dry.
You were like dancing all over at one point. You're like doing like this booty thing, and like I'm like ducking your butt because you're like, you probably were drunk because you were like, and I'm just like, okay. Like I'm trying to move over so your butt doesn't hit me in the face, and I'm just like, so when I saw that your brand, I'm like Introvert. I was like, okay, but it's super dope. It's dope, like the person who it comes from. You're always positive, and I know you've been through quite a bit in your life. I know from a relationship standpoint, you know, you've gone through some things, and you know, it's just life. You know, it's you know, it's like you said, you know, life has its own path for you, and sometimes you get to where you get to. And I dig that. I personally believe that. I understand it, and I tell you to keep on doing what you're doing. Be relentless with it. Um, and you're gonna be awesome at everything that you do, because you're probably one of the more genuine people that I know, because you are who you are, and there's no like, there isn't like an alter ego, or or this different persona about you. This is Marsha. She comes in, hey, how you doing? And then you play the wall a little bit, and you'll talk. You'll talk,
Yeah.
but only if you're spoken to. And you'll sit there, you'll look all glamorous, and you're done up, and you're just sitting there. You're just observing people. I watched you watch people, because I was trying to, when I first met Josie, and I'm trying to figure out all her friends. And I'm just like, okay, I'm like looking at everybody like, okay.
A can of mixed fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I have to say this about your wife. I have to say this because, you mentioned that we had like our little in and out, and I don't know what the source of that was. I don't know what it was about. It sort of just happened. I never got an explanation as to why it was happening, but your wife was the only one, literally the only one who just was unfazed and was like, that has nothing to do with me. Yeah. And I, for that, respect her so much. And I have the utmost respect for her, because she didn't take sides. She didn't come behind anyone's back and say, well, this is why, they don't like you, or she didn't do any of that. She just, still was like, hey girl, how you doing? Yeah. And, I will never forget that, because that was major to me. I mean, we're talking about a group of people that were a big part of my life for a long time. For a very long time, they were my homies, and then all of a sudden, like, they weren't anymore. And she was the only one who did not play into it. She didn't make me feel away. She greeted me and treated me exactly the same, and I will always love her for that.
I see the growth and I see the evolution, and I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Getting through the recent obstacle, and knowing that, it's probably made you stronger for future obstacles. And
right.
builds tougher skin.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you definitely impact a bunch of people every day. When I see your posts, I kind of, in preparation for this interview, I kind of like went through like your IG page, and it's always like 80, 90 likes, and people just saying thank you, or damn girl, you look good, or whatever. And you gotta keep on doing that, because right now, your purpose is pushing that positive energy out. And you're really helping a lot of people, including myself, it's,
the content's geared towards the women, but the message is the same. The message is universal. So I'm glad that you're able to get something from it.
No, definitely. Your quotes are awesome.
Thank you.
You just gotta, I gotta be warned about when you're taking pictures on the fire escape.
Oh, stay off the internet this weekend. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't go on Instagram tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday. Come back on Monday. Okay. I'm breaking the internet this weekend. It's done.
Good. You do that. I'm definitely gonna send you 3 trophies and probably some emojis like, what? And probably be like, babe, Marsha's doing it again. I only look for 10 seconds.
I need her to no longer be my ally. So I need her to still love and respect.
No, she still does.
Yeah.
And definitely. So thank you for coming on the show. Do you have any last words or anything for the listeners out there?
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking that I was good enough or worthy enough to be on your podcast. I really appreciate it. No real last parting words, just everyone stay up, just be the best you can be. That's all I could really ask of anyone. That way we can all just be a bunch of people trying to be our best selves in this world. So
that's awesome. Definitely follow Introvert in the City on Instagram. Look up her shop. She's got great products on there. Great cards. You do a lot of stones, I've noticed. Those are dope too. Do a lot of different natural energy kind of products and spirituality and stuff like that. If you're in need of a cleanse, look up Introvert in the City. a spiritual cleanse. And thank you for being on my show. I really appreciate you. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Just Another Podcast. It's Marsha B. I've been JustHek, and we are out of here. Take care. Peace. Have a great night.